Welcome, everybody, to Occultists Anonymous, the new Mage campaign Chronicle thing, session 0, where we're going to talk about our characters, we're going to touch on lines and veils a little bit, just to make sure that moving into this, it's similar to what we talked about just recently in Blades in the Dark. If you haven't been watching that, go watch Blades in the Dark, because the epic 2-session finale is coming soon. It's super epic. It's absolutely going to blow everything out of the water. Can I pump it up some more, Chris, and put more pressure on you? Or okay.
Yeah.
So
I heard that
Leviathans.
I heard that that GM is doing great. Good GMing.
Very good GMing. I've had a blast. So yes. But a special shout out to our patrons who support us monetarily. Thank you guys very much for your support. Thank you to a wild doc has appeared from, I think it's still the Tall Grass. Yeah. Adele, Al, Alan, Michael, Alexander, Bernie, Blood Angel, Brandon, Chris, Daniel, Delore, Emil, Funzu, Suru, Ali, George, Jack, Jenny, Josh, Kamo, Not a Mage of Not Australia, Cat Feathers, Crazy Man 1772, Melissa, Michael, Milo V3, Moku, Neomagus, Noba, Other Michael, Perry, Puppeteer, Ramon, Ryan, Session Sub-Zero, the best Mortal Kombat character, by the way. Shaxara, Cinna, Terran, The Arcane, Thomas, Toast, Ufsama, Vortex, Woodfoot, and Zoltan. I will hear nothing from you, Chris, about other...
I said we agreed on a thing.
Oh, okay. In that case, I will hear you.
Okay. Yeah, Sub-Zero kicks ass.
I would play the girls in Sub-Zero.
Yep.
But what are we playing in Mage, Drew?
Well, I'm getting scrolling through chat here and Twitch chat. Feel free to throw in some more ideas. So we had
Guess it up, folks.
If you have a good enough suggestion, we will change the game right now.
Yeah, if it catches us, we will change.
Develop page references.
Yeah, Death Fox did happen to catch Chris's little whoops in the OA channel and realized that Chris is playing a character named Isabel. So Fox has guessed that we're playing in the Victorian era. Perry has said that Mage, Pirate, or Riot. Mick JB says if they do Mage Cyberpunk, he's going to Riot. So yeah, a lot of different stuff. I'm stalling. No, I'm not stalling. I'm having a good time.
Cyber Pirates 1777.
Yeah.
We got a 1943 Oslo.
Holy shit.
Space Cowboys.
That's a game.
Paul said they're just going to riot for the fun of it.
Yeah, no, 1943 Oslo. If we do a World War II one, it's going to be like a one-shot mini-series, and it's going to be a lot of Nazi killing.
Wolfenstein vibes.
Yes. Blink twice if they're making you stall. Nah. So yes, there were a lot of guesses, including here about pirates. There we go. Yeah.
It doesn't want to go.
No, we're not playing pirates. Yeah, Craig's third eye. Holy shit, you called it. No, you did not call it. No, kids, we're doing the Old West. I got to come over here. There we go. Yeehaw, motherfuckers.
I'm the sheriff.
And there's Amanda. Yes, you can thank everybody. Say thank you, Amku, down there in chat. I'm gonna close these. She made a couple little doodles. Chris's ear satchel. Yeah. So yes, we are playing in the Wild West. There are definitely a couple things that we're going to talk about real quick off the bat, and we'll probably talk about them more when we actually get into the game. We are playing in a historical setting. We are going to be using some of the Dark Era's stuff. We're not using the same time frame, but we're pretty close. There's a lot of terrible stuff going on in the late 1840s. We are not going to be playing that up for shits and giggles. We may talk about it. It may be some uncomfortable stuff. There's a wonderful quote about if you study history and you're proud and super happy about what you're reading, you're probably not actually studying history. Or I will add, you might be a terrible person. There's some cool things in history to be proud of, but if you're looking at all of history and super happy what you're reading, you're not really reading history. So yes, in 1846, slavery is still legal in most of the U.S. Most of the U.S. is over on the East Coast. There's California that isn't even a state yet. That doesn't happen till 1850. So yeah, there is going to be some stuff. Wild West wasn't really a thing in 1846. Yep, that's true.
That's why we're having this conversation right now.
Yeah, this is definitely more of a frontier kind of thing, and we're just before things really kind of hit off. So it's going to be interesting. One thing that we will not be putting up with is, but historically this thing or that thing. We're not going to play that game. For instance, the traditional pistol bullet that you think of and 6-gun revolvers, those are like a decade away. We're going to play with them because I don't want to have to deal with the mental gymnastics of having to load bullets into a revolver and
cap and ball.
We're just not doing that. We're just not playing that. We are, and also this is the Chronicles of Darkness, so history is slightly different because there's mages. So we're going to be
and other things.
Yeah, mages and other monsters and stuff like that. So you are 100% welcome to join in the historical discussion with us. Do not show up and be the actually about history because we probably know.
Because I'm going to do that.
Yeah. As Chaos said, yes, this is also pre-free council, which is also very, very good. And just because I'm just going to keep looking at what Twitch chat is saying. So this is a Changeling crossover. No. This is going to be a very...
He didn't even finish the sentence. This is a Changeling cross. Nope.
This is going to be far more of a mage-centric chronicle, kind of what we saw towards the end of the Rookery, if you were there for us. If they encounter a werewolf or a vampire, it is going to be a terrifying monster. Will it also be charming in the case of the vampire? Potentially, but it will be a threat. Not necessarily something that they're going to be, being friendly with. So yeah, this is going to be mage-centric. We are going to be talking about some difficult things. Two of our characters, actually basically all of our characters are kind of in not great places. So we're going to be kind of digging into that. And we'll talk about this again more when we actually get into the actual game. But there's a reason we're doing this on our channel and not Onyx Path. Nothing wrong with Onyx Path, but this is so where we can talk about the stuff that we want to talk about and we can be kind of blunt about it and it doesn't splash back on Onyx Path. And we can just kind of do our thing. And then, yes, these are freshly awakened characters. These guys have no idea what they're doing. It's going to be terrific. So with that said, before we turn into actual character creation, is there any little notes, veils, lines, kind of stuff like that we are like, hey, we are not doing? I know Chris had mentioned something, and I want to reiterate, kids are not here to be hurt, murdered, anything like that. Like
protected, saved, maybe, but
right, yes. Threatened, sure, as long as we get to rescue them. So I'm just not playing that. That's just my thing. If you want to come talk to me and ask why, I will happily tell you why, but that's just not this thing.
So I kind of touched on this during Blades when we did the Session Zero stuff, but for me, I have a real issue with shitty people being shitty to people without any way to intervene.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Like if we're in a position where I'm just a spectator watching something happen, that's going to be something that's difficult for me. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Anyone else?
Yeah. And like you said, if it was stuff that we covered in the Blades and Dark stuff, we're cool.
Yeah, much of mine's the same. Like,
yeah.
And I don't ever want to say like common sense in a Lines and Veils sort of scenario, but sexual violence not happening.
Yeah.
I don't see any reason why that would be a thing that we would touch on.
Yeah, a lot of my big no's are things that I just trust you're not going to go there anyway.
Right. But that is explicitly why we talk about them ahead of time.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you can trust and then people go, oh, hey, this is the thing. Mm-hmm. And then you get surprised by it. So, I would prefer if horrible things didn't happen to, since we're in the West, our horses.
I did already make this threat. But yeah.
Look,
Yeah.
Jose the horse is a precious being.
Yep.
Must be protected.
Yeah. And for me, if anything
that
bad
magic?
happens to horses and stuff like that, it's going to be stuff that makes sense. Like,
Sure.
yeah. Not we're not going to just pull a Treyu in the swamp of sorrow.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Rip.
I mean, I feel like eaten by
Rip's still a real one.
a monster would be a good
That's,
lead
like,
off into a
Honestly,
mystery.
that's
Yeah.
fine.
Right.
Like, just as long as it's not
Natural.
described in detail, and we don't have,
Yeah.
the bad guy walk into town and kick a dog or
And just-
something.
yeah.
Right.
Like that kind of thing.
Stuff.
And I know we talked about this off screen when we came up with the setting of sort of themes and touching on wide varieties of culture being present in the region and stuff like that. But I want to say to the audience that we are all very mindful of things that are going on in situations of various peoples that are in the Southwest at this time. Exploring the themes of displaced and depressed folks is one thing we're touching on. So, and like Drew said, like some of these characters are not in a great place. So, as we talk about it in character, and as we go forward in the game, I think we will likely have a couple scenes that we're like, hey,
We
might want to
can
tune
stop
out for
here.
the next few minutes, kind of thing.
Yep.
So I just wanted to get that out there.
Sure. Ralph, anything to add?
Yeah. So there's something I'd like to bring up. In an academic context, people, well, not just academic context, sorry. In a mixed group of people where sensitive things are discussed, oftentimes people will come up with what are called community agreements, right? They use that phrase to refer to a social contract or establishing lines and veils, right? Lines and veils are just a term we use to refer to touch points, areas of sensitivity in a role-playing game context, right? But basically, we're just trying to figure out how should we relate to each other in ways that are mutually respectful, right? One thing in community agreements that comes up often is being willing to lean into your ignorance. And in that, I mean acknowledging when you might not know something and also not assuming that people know everything. And so oftentimes what's done in context I've explored this is people will come up with a code word if they just need a definition of something, like bubbles, or I often suggest spittlebugs because they're little larval insects that produce bubbles, but people rarely get that joke. But anyway, so I think considering we're going to be talking about a lot of historical ideas and the various phenomena that had their start and now have a lot of contemporary consequences, it's going to be sensitive, right? And we all are trusting each other and trying to have a good time and also have fun while we're doing it. I think it'd be good if, hey, we don't know about this. Let's just not assume that people know everything about history and let's just explore it, right? So it doesn't need to be a lecture, but like if we don't all know something about Roma history, right, or proper terms and stuff like this, let's just be like, hey, I don't know what's going on with that. Can you fill me in and out of character about this?
Right. Cool. Yeah.
Does that make me feel comfortable?
Yeah.
I think we already had. I like spittlebugs. That's
Yeah.
fun.
Thanks.
And without even having heard that, I think we had a couple behind the scenes things of that happening already, like asking for some clarifications on something you were talking about and stuff like that. So,
Yep.
That's true. You're pretty thoughtful about that.
Yep. Which
Yeah.
I actually, I might figure out how to do that as a bot command. And if chat, you have stuff where you're like, whoa, hang on, what are we talking about? Especially, hi, international audience. I know some of you are watching on YouTube or on the VOD, and so you can't do this live, but we might do that. So like, as we're going through stuff, if you're like, wait, what? Hang on, I don't have context for this, put it in the chat. And as far as I know, all four of you guys are in the chat watching, so we can probably give you some education. There are members of our chat who, as we move forward and get through the end of Chris's Chronicle and into Craig's redacted game, we will possibly be handing out a couple more mod statuses for folks who are in the know and are trustworthy sources of rules and history and stuff like that. So if you are interested in doing that kind of stuff, and you could listen, if you have a PhD in Western history or something like that, hi, message us. We would love to use you as a resource. But anything like that.
So having said all that, just be aware that we're compassionate, sensitive people, but we might get stuff wrong. We're certainly not experts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
But he starts the imagination, so we're going to be doing our best if there's sensitive topics that come up. But just
there might be in character ignorance that is not out of character ignorance.
Yeah, that's right.
It is important that we talk about that, because it would be, I know we said we're not being completely historical, but it would be extremely ahistorical for a character to be talking about modern queer theory in 1840 something, that's just not going to happen. So now I don't think any of us are going to go throwing slurs around in the game.
No reason to.
Exactly. It doesn't enhance anything, but that's just another point that I wanted to bring up, is that if one of us, or if Drew has to play a character that is a terrible, awful person, Drew is not a terrible, awful person. And people in chat should not call him these things.
And Drew hates playing terrible, awful people. And
Drew hates it the worst of anyone.
And we hear about it afterwards a lot.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that I am mentally preparing myself for that, and that's one of the reasons why we're doing Lines and Veils. Because, was there anything else there, Ralph?
No, that's it.
Okay,
Thank
cool. Because
this response is what I was hoping for.
One of the things that I'm looking to you all now and being, does everybody trust me that when I introduce terrible people or terrible consequences for your actions, that I'm not doing this just for shiggles, because that is one of the big things. The hunters, multiple times I thought about having them firebomb Songbird's place or things like that, and they're really, really big consequences, and they will feel invasive and heavy duty, and that can be rough. That's just clearing
up some XP. That's all,
right? And that's kind of exactly that.
I'm with you.
Yeah, and yes, hi chat. Yes, player safety is. Please remember, player safety is not just the players. The DM is a player
DM too. Absolutely.
100%.
And for us being a broadcast, it's for the audience too.
Yep.
So, you are, let's say, you're welcome to talk about it with us in the Discord.
Yep.
If there's particular things that you think we should be mindful of, we are always open to more feedback in a constructive, polite manner.
Yep.
And if there's any other new GMs out there, player safety isn't it isn't a consensus thing. Every player kind of determines their own safety limits, and it's up to everybody at the table to respect those.
And
so if one person has a problem with it and everyone else is good, you still don't go ahead.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's
either
also
give
not
them a chance to walk away, or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's also not we set these rules now and never talk about them again. This can be an ongoing discussion about things happening.
I really like having the X cards. I don't know if necessarily need physical ones, but just as an idea, especially when it comes to player safety, especially if you're playing with people you don't know super well, just being able to be heads up, now let's move on, cut this line.
Yeah. And
an easy way to do that is just
that's exactly what I was going to suggest. We have the option of doing
salute.
We have the option of using it in Roll20. You guys can't see that, and I'm not necessarily always seeing that, but I'm always seeing the players. You guys are always seeing the players. So yes, as any kind of I prefer the self hug rather than the aggressive. But whatever, cross your arms. Yeah, cross.
Wakanda forever.
Yeah, thank you. But yeah, and for chat, this is going to be a more gloomy game. No, it's not.
Nah. We're just setting
boundaries.
Ground rules.
We're going to talk about the worst parts of stuff, and then because it's still going to be mages doing wacky hijinks in different setting, and there's a lot of this stuff. Thumbs down in a lot of LARP circles. The problem is, and my issue with thumbs up, thumbs down is that could also be like, hey, how are you doing? Yeah, I'm good. Yep, we're good. Yep. Oh, I don't like this. This is a bad plan. Like it's too easy to just throw that around compared to crossing your arms. So yeah. Will there be cowboy slang?
Absolutely.
Maybe. Like depends on the character and depends on the slang.
Because you got to think a Wild West guardian of the Veil out there believing in reincarnation.
Stop.
And we start. So actually, speaking of starting, if everybody's feeling good with lines, veils, kind of our restrictions and stuff like that, we can jump into character creation.
Oh yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
I'm seeing Craig rubbing his hands. He's ready to go. All right. So yes, as is mentioned in chat, yes, they are playing brand spanking new mages. And so
long enough that the dew's gone, but yeah.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. The Numina or Numa.
We don't get no Numa. That's not fair.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm taking away your like infinite
no shiny
mana
toys for you.
Yeah.
Hey.
But yes. Reach. So cowboy pun every episode. Well, add it in Discord.
I'll do my best.
Yeah.
Chris, we'll do this for you.
Yeah. So for those, and I'm jumping ahead just for a second here. For those people who A, have never played Mage, or B, are just haven't picked up Signs and Sorcery. If you're playing Mage, pick up Signs and Sorcery. Terrific book. But the major difference here is in terms of Arcana, they are only having 3 dots. 2 have to go into
3.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
2 go into one of the ruling Arcana. 1 goes into the other ruling Arcana. That's it. You can only use your ruling Arcana to start.
But
you do get an extra dot in one of your resistance stats, like standard mage. You have to have Gnosis 1, no spending merit dots to increase it. You have wisdom instead of you have wisdom instead of integrity, like any mage, but you start at 8, not 7. Mana is maxed out, but has no mana. That's right. You guys start with no mana.
Well, that you start with no mana if you start with Numa. So if you get rid of Numa, you end up acquiring mana.
Actually, that's fair. Or sublimation of the Numa. Okay, yeah. And
so at this point, if our Numa's gone, we should have a full mana pool.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm not going to stress about that too much.
Unless you want us to be 0 mana. I mean,
nah. I mean, technically, all your spells are coming out of ruling Arcana.
It'd be hard to spend at the start, just like it was in our first campaign too.
But
for the most part,
I'm not too stressed about that.
Unless you were John.
Yeah.
The incognito presence.
Yeah,
it adds up.
And praxis, normally you would have a praxis, but you're not new enough or you're not experienced enough to have one yet. That said, while the praxis remains unassigned, the player may spend a willpower point during spellcasting to declare that spell has become the character's praxis, which means on episode 1, they may be picking up
I declare praxis.
Sure. Go for it. Magical tool. The player does not have a dedicated magical tool, though may dedicate one through the rules in Mage. Bear in mind, we're just talking about a newly awakened character. We may end up adjusting stuff for some of these characters. Ralph, for instance, has a very, very good reason that he may already have a magical tool. And then orderless. You don't get the dot in occult. You do not get a dot in order status, rote skills, or the high speech merit. High speech merit is the only thing that lets them use it as a yantra. They still speak high speech. They still can understand it, but they just don't know how to use it as a yantra. So that is where they're at. So as chat said, they it's like being level 1 character and no class. I mean, that's us. We have no class.
We don't have class anyways, so.
Yeah. All right. So let's start with character creation, very specifically with character concepts, which Much as I fought, they managed to all come up with character concepts. What a
gave
surprise.
us like a 2-month lead in time.
Yeah.
What did you expect?
And for chat, yes, Numa is basically the thing that basically kept newbie mages when they're in their awakening and they're in the supernal from being fried apart by the supernal. And then when they leave, they still have it, and it basically buoys them with extra free mana and helps protect them against paradox.
Gives extra reach and stuff. Numa is the reason that bad mages try and steal awakenings.
Yep. So character concepts, and let me take a look over here at the overlay. So we're gonna start with Ralph.
All right, cool, do it. So, how much detail do you want me to give you?
I mean, based on the book, let's keep it, a 2 or 3 word concept. Because a lot of the backstory that I know you guys have already developed, looking at Ash, actually all of them have developed backstories. I want that to come out in the game. Whatever we need to talk about to explain for your character, like when we get into skills and stuff like that, we'll touch on. But yeah, for now, we'll just keep it at kind of a tease for the folks at home, because they won't see these characters for like a month.
Okay. My character is a frighteningly deliberate ungang, which is the term for a male priest of Haitian voodoo or vaudou.
Hell yeah. And blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I guess we don't need to talk about aspirations either. But have you picked out virtue and vice?
I have picked out virtue and vice.
Cool.
And
go ahead.
I'm happy. Do you? I thought.
Yeah, yeah. If you know what it is, yeah, share away.
His vice is dominance, and his virtue is protection.
Cool. I like
protective, because they're adjectives, right?
Which actually, quick thing, because it came up in chat for the Q&A. Just a quick reminder, guys. Virtue and vice are not something that your character is always doing. This is something that they value, and they look to strive for that virtue. That's a thing that is important to them, not necessarily that they do it all the time. Same thing applies to their vice. Their vice is a weakness that they really wish they didn't, but man, when they actually indulge in it, it feels good, and that recovers their willpower. It does not mean that if you have a cowardly vice that you are playing a cowardly character. You could be a very, very brave character, and just that time where it's like, man, I just want to run away. That's when you get your vice. That's when you get that willpower. Cool. Thank you, Ralph.
You're welcome.
Coming round, I think that's going to be Ash.
My character is a fairly young, she's not a German immigrant because Germany wasn't a thing yet. God, I lost the word. Bavarian.
Ah, okay.
Cool.
Bring the pretzels. I'm sorry, but
she and her family came over, initially had settled in like Appalachia, and then for reasons have now uprooted and left again.
Gone west. Cool.
Gone west. She's probably like 19.
Okay.
Because she's still with her family.
Sure. What about virtue and vice?
I haven't gotten those yet.
Okay, cool. No problem. Running the corner, Chris.
I am playing a fast-talking Vaquera thief.
Yeah.
Vaquera, or Vaquero, is a term for the Mexican cattle drivers, cattle ranchers, relatively sort of related to the term gaucho, is where we sort of get
buckaroo
cowboys.
Yeah,
buckaroos and cowboys and all that kind of stuff. Yep, that's good.
Cool.
There's more, but
virtue and vice.
That's her virtue is land reverent.
Okay.
I like it.
And I can explain this. Is that when she married and moved out into the provincial parts of Mexico, from Mexico City, He came to know her husband's family and the land that they lived on, and came to have a bit of respect for it.
Cool. For my purposes, and so I'm not completely, could we just change that to reverential?
Sure. I mean, that's what I wrote on the character sheet was reverent, but
okay, yeah.
I was specifically, it's not like Catholic faith reverent.
Sure, doesn't need to be. Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. And her vice is sticky fingered.
Hell yeah.
Cool. Yep. And which that one is broad enough. Well, okay, yes, we could literally be talking about thieving. We could also be talking about taking any other thing. So cool. I like it. And Craig.
So my character was in many ways a drifter, but the primary way she made her way in the world was acting as a medium.
So what's our couple? Because you're about to pull an Ash and give us backstory. I want what's the short, punchy back of the book description?
Former medium that found out all that shit was actually real.
Yes,
and
cool.
Kind of blew her mind.
So we're gonna be vibing with Ralph's
relate.
character. Like, hang on, hang on. Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Virtue and vice.
The generosity and pride.
That's good. All right, cool.
Ooh, yeah.
No, I figured them out for mine.
Oh, fire away.
Vice is definitely going to be pessimistic, just for reasons.
Sure.
Virtue. Trying to think of the word for like, I guess strong-willed, determined.
Willful.
Yeah.
Determined is good.
Determined.
Yeah.
Yep. And for those a fraud medium, no, you could totally be. Yes, thank you, White Grove. Ralph. Yes,
Ralph.
Fallen magic works in Chronicles of Darkness, so she may not have been a fake medium at all. She may have actually been calling up ghosts. We'll find out.
Well, hearing things and not understanding necessarily that it was actually
Righto.
And that's basically what I had as Atreides'.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like roughly backstories. Like she did a lot of ghost hunts because she could feel them.
Yep, and just didn't realize it. Yeah, the pre-awakening. That's cool. So then we're going to select attributes. I don't need you guys to tell me what you're doing because I trust that none of you are making like OP one stat dominated, oddball characters.
I know, whatever do that.
Yeah. But,
just tell me how many I get for what.
Right. So yeah.
Same as usual.
5, 4, 3.
5, 4, 3. Yep. 5 in your first category, 4 in your second, and 3 in your last. And then you can spend a additional resistance stat because you are newly awakened.
Check this out. I'm going for the rare Dex 1. You'll see why.
Oh no.
Oh, it's going to be good.
Bad choice, friend. Definitely wanted more dots than I had this time.
Yep, been there. This is every time I make a character. If you guys are good with those stats, give me a little the high sign, A-OK, ready to go, and we'll move on to skills. If you're unsure, make a little note for yourself, or actually let me know, and I'll make a note myself. I have my trusty, handy-dandy notepad up because I know I will probably be taking notes here in a minute once we get through character creation when we talk about the town. And just a reminder, if anybody's already done and wants to get ahead, skills are 11, 7, 4.
Okay, so slower through. I went straight line.
We don't have a place to change computers to Enigma. So do you want us to just use
computers are Enigma. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you have more than 1 dot in firearms, please let me know and explain why. Because firearms are out there. But yeah, how many dots? Woo! Okay, we may talk about that, but I mean, as a Vaquero, as a thief, I kind of get it.
The idea is that when she left her home, her circumstances, she suspiciously quickly became good at these things. And they're all like instinctual, like predatory things leading up to becoming a Thyrsus.
Interesting. Okay.
Very cool.
And then also within skills is skill specialties, of which you get 3, I think.
Yep.
And is it drive? Is ride instead of drive?
Correct.
Wait, is horse a skill?
Drive.
That's not athletics.
Nope.
Nope. Athletics is how you handle stuff. And we can double check with the skills thing. And again, remember, it's similar to driving. You don't have to have a dot to actually ride a horse. But,
unless you want to do something dangerous.
But if I want to ride a horse and do a train heist or some shit.
Yep.
Yeah.
God damn it. I don't have enough dots.
Nope. Animal handling may be useful, yes, but that is for more the social side of, working with a horse and training it and stuff like that, not necessarily how you ride one.
So it's 11.7.2 or 11.7.3.
11.7.4.
4. I can take one more.
Yep.
Also, animal handling isn't that useful when you have life.
Yeah, but you just awakened, so
Yeah, I just mean life 1. You can get some dots. You get some boost. Life 1 spell. I use it a lot in the campaigns. Want to talk to a bird? Cast that spell a lot.
Yep.
It's easier than talking to a person. They're gonna be like, "What do you want? I want something in return.
Some food?
Here, birdie. Here's a little food."
And
I saw
chat,
that, Robert.
yes, firearms have been around for a while, but they're not exactly like a frequent thing that everybody is used to using. Depends on your background. For instance, Ralph's character has probably never held a firearm.
Nope. Well, he doesn't know how to use them. He's held one once. Doesn't trust them. I mean, they were used in Haiti,
right?
Especially in the early 1800s.
To quite some efficacy.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So he's held one, but yeah, he has no skill in them.
Yeah,
definitely hasn't held a pistol.
Yeah, I have 1 dot in firearms. Not like gunslinging, but more just like
1 dot
She
represents you
has a shotgun.
Right, have shot it, fired it, can at least load and fire it without, making newbie mistakes. You're not trying to figure it out. Everybody good with attributes and skills, specialties?
All right, I'm going to take a dot out of firearms and put it into drive horse.
Yeah, I have 3 in crafts, investigation, and medicine, 2 in occult.
Interesting. And occult is one I'm not stressed about people knowing about because actually considering the setting and superstitions and stuff like that, makes sense for some people to have, learned some stuff.
Might actually drop 1 for medicine and put another into occult, just with the whole idea I have for her. I feel like that's something she would have looked into.
Sure.
3 for survival, 2 in athletics, 1 in firearms weaponry, 2 in persuasion, 1 in animal kin and subterfuge.
Cool. And specialties are actually, and that's another one for you there, Chris, is that specialty will help because if I remember correctly, drive is not just horse, but it's also like wagons and, everything like that, modes of, transportation. So a specialty in horse is...
Specialty in horse? Got it.
Hell yeah.
Oh, we didn't give names.
Huh?
Did we?
I skipped over names because I was going to wait for those names after the next step, which is the fun step of what is everybody's path. If everybody's done with skills and attributes.
I mean, if we just want to at least say our categories that we're focused on.
Describe the skills. Sure. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. And because Ash already started and didn't even click. But yeah, if you guys want to talk about what skills you have, again, so we don't have everybody being social characters or what have you.
Yeah.
Cool.
But Chris, since you opened your mouth. Yeah.
Social character.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You and I.
Primary social, but not in a songbird way. Dots in expression and subterfuge focused. A couple in persuasion, a couple in socialize. Specialization in storytelling of expression. And a specialization in socialize for corrals.
Ooh,
cool.
That's
and
great.
then the horse specialization.
No.
Okay.
Firearms.
Okay.
Shoot people. Hit them with the gun.
What specifically? What specialty in firearms? Out of curiosity.
Revolvers.
Cool. That's what I figured. I know you and I had mentioned that a little bit. So yep.
It's gonna be good.
Ralph or Craig, want to talk about your skills?
Yeah, I still need to pin down my specializations, but I got 2 dots.
Specializations can wait. Yeah.
Yeah, 2 dots in medicine, 3 dots in occult. 2 dots in politics, and 2 dots in science, biology.
Okay.
Cool.
A dot in athletics, larceny, stealth, and survival. So not big on the physical side. For social, dot in empathy, expression, intimidation, 2 in persuasion, 1 in streetwise, 1 in subterfuge.
Gotcha. Doubling back to science. Why the because science, especially because how many dots did you have?
2.
Because that's quite a bit of science. Like that's somebody who
Studied.
2 dots is you studied and absolutely fine. I'm just curious the why.
I'm just thinking her, just from her background, and she had to live a lot. Like when they were traveling on the road a lot and moving a lot, and they couldn't like go to doctors and get help and stuff like that. So she been like the healer for the group kind of thing.
So that would be more medicine, though.
More medicine. So yeah, I can move that around. So
I would say put it into medicine.
Okay.
Because
also limited medical knowledge or understanding of biology at the time. I mean, people still hadn't disproven spontaneous generation fully.
Yeah,
true.
And
although there were entomologists who did so in the 16 and 1700s, there's still like an.
But I mean, if you wanted to allow me to counterpoint this from a more practical thing, is that this could be a sort of. It's not a social skill, but you've picked up on things on how people's biology work, how their reactions
that's cool.
work based on your fortune telling and stuff. And so you know how to read someone's heartbeat racing if you have the right sort of what's it called, cold read or whatever, and those sorts of things. And so like that could be sort of where the knowledge comes from. Is like not a
that was kind of the angle that I was thinking of
textbook studied, but it's like
that's cool.
I've learned this from my experience. It's the same reason why Songbird had 2 dots in medicine back in the first Chronicle. Is like I've had my body torn apart enough times to know how it fits back together and how things should be, right?
Oh yeah, it's just a question of how far that knowledge has gone, and
I'm totally okay putting that dot into medicine instead.
I mean, and primarily, I'm looking at this from a storyteller perspective of when am I ever going to ask you to roll science?
That's nice.
Yeah, because I'm like, if you were back in the city and we were, in a lab, sure, we are not. Go ahead.
I took a deep breath for it, but I didn't. New York City.
Well, we're going there eventually.
Maybe. And
Hope
then
not.
Ralph, did you have want to run down your skills there?
Happy to. Yeah, sure. My Ungan is social primary. Has 4 skills: empathy with 2 dots, expression with 2 dots, persuasion with 2 dots, and intimidation with 5 dots. We about to get real mean. Real mean.
Yep.
See, I don't have any dots of intimidation.
we about to get mean to some people in this setting. I'll tell you what.
Yep.
Especially in their dreams. And I'll elaborate that.
Oh no.
On that in a minute. Oh yeah. So tertiary category is physical with 2 dots in athletics and 2 in brawl.
Sure.
Then secondary is mental, 1 in academics, 1 in enigmas, 1 in investigation, with a specialty in dreams. Then 5 in occult.
Okay.
Because he is a master initiated Ungan.
Yep.
And the specializations, I just said 1, but I'll repeat them. So 1 in empathy for motives. Although he's not nice, he does understand people relatively well. 1 in investigation for dreams, exploring dreams. His understanding of the occult helps a little bit with that, but just in a mundane sense of trying to understand what's going on to supplement enigmas. And then a specialization in occult for Vodou.
Okay. I'm probably going to ask you to bump your 5s down to 4s. And move them elsewhere, because 4, absolutely super professional, probably the top in your field. 5 to me represents there is nobody on par with you. And like 4 plus the specialization to reach there for like, voodoo, Vodun. But like to hit 5 would be like that all-encompassing knowledge of occult, potentially. But yeah.
That's no biggie. Can I keep the 5 and intimidate? It has a mechanical function.
Considering where you're coming from, that one I can't be mad about.
All right, cool.
I'm
happy to move
specializations. Like, I'm not sure how to word this. I'm gonna go.
No. I was just making sure I wasn't interrupting you. Go ahead.
Okay. I was gonna do 1 in crafts for like making things around the house, because like I had the idea that her folks were bakers, and in this setting, I wanted to sort of have her sort of setting up shop.
So, like, by meaning you're making, like, normal household goods kind of stuff?
I have it as home goods right now.
I dig that. That's fine. Yeah.
Well, especially in a sort of frontier settler kind of way, like, you make everything yourself.
Yep.
So that's absolutely a valid specialization for sure.
Yeah, like cooking, seamstress, that sort of thing. Like.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, if you're, we're not picking up a blacksmith hammer, but, a good saw and, a chunk of wood and making necessary stuff, and seamstress, clothing, stuff like that. Yep. Okay, so yes, the fun shit. What's everybody's path? Craig.
Moros.
Chris.
And I said like 7 months ago I wanted to play a Theursis, so here I am.
But hey, this is the sign on the dotted line. Sign the watchtower.
I am here from the primal wilds.
Ash.
Acanthus.
And Ralph.
Mastigos.
Yeah. Thank God.
Oh, yeah.
Only 1 Acanthus. They threatened me with 2 at one point.
That's my favorite path.
Yeah.
Threatened you with 2 of a couple different things.
Yeah. But the Acanthus one was the only one I was concerned about. So
teamwork, spellcasting, exceptional luck for the cabal.
Yeah. No, thank you. Hey, what order are you guys in? LOL. No. Absolutely not. No orders here. What about the mystery cult? Nah. Brand new mages. They have nothing. And as we will talk about here in a minute, they may not even know each other. Nimbus. Does anybody actually have a Nimbus kind of nailed down? That's one of those things that we can definitely cover in game, because that would be a cool kind of reveal as your compatriots here see you casting. Because if you have Mage Sight on, you'll see that Nimbus. Even if it's not of the right path or arcana or anything like that.
I'm happy to reveal later if you want.
I like that. What does everybody think? Do we want to talk about it or reveal it later? Because I think the dramatic reveal is kind of cool.
I think reveal it later.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. It also means nobody has to know it off the top of the... So, dedicated magical tool. Ralph has already been given the blessing to have a magical tool because they have a reason to. You. I think Craig also has a decent reason to. We'll get to what those may be momentarily. Ash or Chris, do you think your characters start our game with a magical tool? Dedicated magical tool?
I have what will be my dedicated magical tool.
I like that. Cool.
I have one in mind. I don't know if you want me to like make it or just already have it.
Well, and that's what I'm asking because,
Yeah.
like, in the case of Chris's character, just using it, and again, a reminder, because I didn't mention it earlier, there's going to be a lot more time skip downtime in this chronicle compared to the whirlwind adventure that was the Rookery.
Yeah.
So the idea of, you're going to cast, every spell for a month with this thing is completely feasible to be done, not necessarily all in downtime, but over a couple downtimes where it's like, we're moving forward. So I'm more about starting play with she's been using magic enough to have dedicated it.
I would say probably then for my character, because what I have is like, I was going with that hagstone that she had been given by like grandmother, granddad, because the whole backstory I have this goes back a bit. And using it to see. Okay, cool.
Did you want to talk about yours that you have?
Yeah, and that's what we're going to come back around to, Ralph and Craig. What ones you guys, if you have settled with them? I know Ralph, Craig, not sure yet. Or, well, actually, better question. Do you think your character has started with, or you don't think so?
I don't think so.
Right, because for me, a lot of this is how much spell casting have they done? Because Awakening, and they did some spell casting with the Numina, and then the Numina is gone, and that protection against Paradox is now gone. So it's like, how many spells have you actually cast? To actually do that. But Ralph made it clear that he definitely wanted to start with a dedicated magical tool. What did you have picked out?
So in Haitian Vodou, the final step in your initiation is the acquisition and communing with something called a nason, which is a sacred rattle. And if you've ever seen a voodoo ritual or an event, like a big congregation, everybody's together, right? The ungan or the mambo will be moving around with this rattle. It looks like a gourd, right? In like a different kind of Vodou, there's one that looks like a maraca. It's a rattle. It's a different kind of rattle. But the main one I'm thinking of looks like a gourd. So imagine a gourd that's covered in a net of shells, small little shells, like little cowrie shells that click and clack. It also has a bell attached to it. That kind of sounds like a little chime, but this looks like a gourd that was carved. So as opposed to a gourd that was found somewhere like in like a field of crops or something like that, instead of grown, it was carved. So it was carved from bone, which is surprising considering how its size. And the cowrie shells have this like black streaks through them, and it looks like it's been held and polished for many years. So,
gotcha. So
it's that rattle.
Ancestral kind of thing passed down.
It is. He's not exactly sure how old it is, but it did belong to his mentor, who gifted it to him before the mentor died. And we'll touch on this later in merits, but there's a significance there, a really important significance.
Okay.
And the other aspect of it is that when Ungans and Mambos, when they initiate, you're trapped in a room for 9 days with the Asan. So
trapped in the room.
Yeah, they lock you in a room for 9 days alone. So
yeah, no,
I guess trap might not be the right word.
Yeah. I was like, hang on. That's a very Masticos thing, but and because it came up in chat, yes, a mage who is created as per the core book starts with a dedicated magical tool, and the item may be something that they started their awakening with. It's dedicated because it was so close to them, they continue to use it. In the case of a brand new, newly awakened, per the book, they don't start with a dedicated magical tool. Yeah. I'm giving some freedom for some of the characters.
No rules.
Because we're just a little bit beyond brand new, newly awakened. Arcana, which this is going to be short and sweet. Yes, Chris.
Simple.
I wanted to talk about mine.
Oh, yeah, please.
Go ahead.
So part of the storytelling bit that my character has is sort of a musical accompaniment. And so one of the only things that she took with her when she ran away was her flute.
Ooh.
And that was transformed during her awakening and is now made of casitirum and perfected wood.
Yes.
and has this sort of branched leaf aesthetic going on from the Primal Wilds.
So we'll definitely have to spend the merits for that, but yeah.
I did.
I figured you had.
That's great. The best part is the reed. You don't have to replace the reed.
That's perfect. Oh
That's awesome. Unless actually I'm thinking of it.
But yeah, but Cassiterum is a good yantra for summoning.
Mm-hmm.
I'm leaning into 2 dots in spirit.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for the transition over. So that means 1 dot into life. Cool.
Yeah.
Oh man, but you're down here, so I guess we'll go over to Ash.
I have 2 dots in fate and 1 dot in time.
Cool.
Ooh, yeah.
So let's see if we're over here. Let's go over to Craig.
I have 2 dots in death and 1 dot in matter.
Cool. And Ralph.
2 dots in mind. Got to be dream reaching. 1 dot in space.
Subtle Squad.
Oh yeah,
Subtle Squad. Which also very, very useful for being newly awakened mages. Be like, hang on, we got to keep this all undercover. Rotes, you guys don't have any. Gnosis, It's just 1. Mana,
It's 1.
maxed out. Obsessions, we will not be talking about now, but I do have, I believe, everybody's character handout with aspirations and obsessions. So sometime in the next month or so,
I
fill
don't
those
have
out.
one of those.
And let me know.
We just have the old ones showing in the game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And
Drew,
just, reuse
I need
those.
you to create one for me.
Just edit them.
Oh, yes, I could not make one for you because you had yet to join.
Sorry about that.
Oh, no, you're quite all right. It's here.
Do we want to say names? We should probably say names.
Oh, yes, because that's
That
what I was.
sounds good.
Yeah, fire away.
I want to go last.
Sure.
My girl's name is Gisela Bauer.
Cool. Yes, and I see Ash's thing. Obviously, these are brand new mages who do not have the shadow name merit or even necessarily know what a shadow name is. Some of our characters probably already have shadow names planned.
Yeah, I have an idea for her shadow name just based on what she is capable of doing and what she has been doing.
Right.
But it's more of this is what you started thinking of yourself as.
I forgot you mentioned that.
Mm-hmm. It's a very good shadow name. Chris, Ralph, or Craig, your characters' names?
Theodosia Stokes.
And what does everybody call you?
Theo.
Okay. That's kind of what I thought, but...
Madam Theo?
Yeah.
And then Chris or Ralph? Oh, Chris said he wants to go last.
Chris wanted to go last? Yeah. So Ungan often have elaborate names.
Sure.
So my Ungan's name is Jean-Paul Pierre Joseph Broussard, and he has a very specific French addition to that, which is Cap d'ombre sur la pluie qui tombe, which is cloak of shadows in the falling rain. So usually people just call him Ungan Cloak. So you all probably end up calling him Cloak.
Cool.
I wanted to go last because I thought I had the longest name, but
no, I knew that's why you were waiting. I was like, man, I think Ralph might have you beat. Go ahead.
God damn it.
I'm sorry.
You're good. No, that's great. That's a great name. And your French pronunciation was pretty dang good.
And is probably going to be frequently brutalized by me.
Yeah.
And just FYI for Ralph, just as your character sheet, definitely go ahead and change the name there, and then in Roll20 down at the bottom.
Oh yeah, cool, great, yeah.
Yep. And
I am playing.
Go ahead.
I am playing Isabel Sofia Valentin de Munoz y Pilar.
Ooh, that's good.
She a little bit Spanish, or Hispanic, I guess technically.
No, she's Spanish.
She is Spanish. Okay.
Her husband's family is Mexican.
Cool. Oh, and
yeah, we can put these in chat to help people.
Indeed. I'm struggling. There we go. There we go. And Amanda was like, hey, have you shown the overlay? And I'm like, yeah, I already did that. But she was probably asleep and got here too late. She stares at me for the whole way. I already did it. We already did it.
I know, I was there.
It was very cute.
Oh, okay. That's right. Go away. I'm busy. getting to talking
I
to.
liked my lasso.
That was real good.
And did everybody go ahead and put in their resistance stat, by the way? The extra resistance.
Mine was resolve.
Cool. I don't care. I trust y'all. I can go through and do some quick math and make sure nobody's got extra attributes out of nowhere. I'm just going through the character creation, which leads us to merits, which normally one would start with 10, and I believe... Yeah, okay. You'll start with 10 as well. Yep.
Just don't get the bonus ones.
Bonus ones?
Like the plus
high
one.
speech and the status.
Yep. So do you guys know any specific merits that you've definitely picked out for your characters?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, Chris, since you went last time, why don't
I'll
you
go first this time? That's fine. So I've got 2 dots for my perfected flute.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
I've got 3 dots in the fast talking style merit.
Heck yeah.
I've got the 2 dot merit of sympathetic.
Okay.
Is at the start of a social encounter, I can take a condition by sort of getting in my target's shoes and immediately open 2 doors.
Gotcha. Definitely going to be the fast talker. Yeah, between you and the Mastigos, we're gonna have some social shit.
Oh, yeah.
And 3 dots in gunslinger.
Okay.
Cool. Yes, you took it. Yes. Yep. Yeah.
Which again, this is kind of one of those reasons. That's a great merit, and it's from Dark Eras, but it requires a real revolver, not the revolvers that one would actually find in 1846.
Which is why some nameless order out there created better pistols faster. That's why they're in existence in our game.
Or, I mean, I'll be honest, the adamantine arrow may have nudged that evolution along. Cool.
It's a more brutal world, right? So you imagine the implements of war would be more available.
Yep.
Better functioning.
Okay. So that was Chris. Ruff, you said you had merits already kind of picked out?
Yeah, absolutely.
Fire away.
All of them. All right. So he is the leader of a mystery cult. 5 dot mystery cult. Those and the mystery cult is he leads a group of maroons and liberated slaves. So I should provide a little history.
Please.
My understanding is that in Haiti, one of the issues with Haiti is not just the fact that there's been a lot of economic exploitation and oppression over the years, but post the revolution, the Haitian Revolution in 1791, the leaders in Haiti styled themselves as emperors and presidents and things like that. And in order to stabilize the weakened economy, they instituted forced labor and plantation work. So in effect, what they did is after liberation, they said, all right, well, we still need food grown, so you still have to be slaves. And so there's a history of the Maroons, like groups of slaves leaving plantations and then finding their own place in like the hills and stuff in various Caribbean nations. So Mayungan leads a mystery cult where he trains Maroons to do 2 things. 1 is to deal with the trauma of their exploitation, and 2, to turn themselves into mentally and physically capable servitors, because that's an aspect of Vodou that's important, is that you get possessed by what are effectively Goche. And then those Goche can mount you and they can ride your body and do various things. So he facilitates the spirits, the Loa, coming into the bodies of the people who are preparing themselves to attack or destabilize the continued Haitian oppression. So in order to do that, there are dots in meditative mind. So people are prepared and they're able to deal with breaking points better. And then the strength performance style, which is super cool, allows you to, it's from Hurt Locker. And so in strength performance, a few things you can do are it gives you +1 dot to non-combat uses of strength. Makes you better and more effective at moving things, especially if they're wheeled, stuff like that. So, you should take a look at that. And then the mystery code also has Air of Menace, which is another merit from Hurt Locker, and that's the one that gives you a bonus to intimidate and requires someone to spend a willpower if they want to hurt you. if their intimidate dots are lower than yours. And then after the mystery cult, he has striking looks, which I'm renaming daunting mien. And then mantle of marionette, which is advanced striking looks. And Marinette is a Petroloa, who it is thought is the incarnation or the Loadic incarnation of a woman who was around and helped start the Haitian Revolution, and this voodoo ceremony started there, like sacrificed a black pig and then was burned as a consequence of her participation. So she's a very vengeful, fearful Loa who is dedicated to eliminating bondage. And so there's the Petroloa are the ones, like I said, that are hot. So she's one of the newest and like really hot Loa. And so the backstory behind that is that at one point he was calling upon the aid of the Petro, and he was mounted by Marinette. And so he did a bunch of stuff that he regrets, but it left a lingering aspect on himself. So he has this like aura and element of his demeanor, which has been influenced by this dark presence.
Gotcha. And also very, very good setup for Mastigos.
That's what I thought.
Cool.
And then the 1 dot is for Soulstone.
Right. And you said you had an explanation for that.
I do. Absolutely.
You
so
boil it down to a quick sentence or two?
Sure. It is the Ason.
Okay.
So his mentor awakened and decided that he was going to try and bring him into it. However, he recognized that something was going to happen to him, and so gave him the Ason, made a soul stone to help guide his mentee on what eventually became his awakening many years later. And so he puts him in this room for 9 days and he knows he's going to be safe, right? And then goes out to deal with the consequences of trying to lead people in opposing the government. And of course, you know what happens when you do that, when everyone has the power, right?
Right.
They take you out. So his mentor never returned, but he kept seeing him in his dreams, right? And he didn't know why until he awakened and he realized, oh, it's because this spectral remnant of my mentor has been touching on me and helping bring in the lower and all this stuff. And then it guides him on this path by which he can finally touch the supernal.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. What gnosis?
That's what I was thinking.
Oh no, I like that. We may play with some of the backstory and background because I want to talk about the Goche as Loa and the possession and how that works mechanically and stuff like that. We'll talk about that.
I have some ideas. We should. Cool. I think you'll enjoy. We'll have a good conversation.
But what gnosis was the mentor?
Gnosis 1. So he had just awakened. He didn't get very powerful. He wasn't like super powerful. He was like, he still didn't recognize what this was. He had no training, right? Mm-hmm. He just was able to cast magic, do different things, right? And then upon that, he's like, I have to bring him into it. Yes. You know, considering like Vodou is about bringing people in and this like initiatory aspect where you're constantly trying to pass it on and bring more people into it. Like this happens and he's like, there's more. So he just knows if he can somehow leave behind a message and a path that it might aid his mentee in doing this. And it took a while, right?
Sure.
I want to say I'm open to your suggestions, right? I'm thinking like 10 years or something like that, right? Like before his awakening.
We'll talk more backstory.
Cool. Sounds good.
You guys are, because for me, this is like the solidify the character and then we can talk about the fluffy stuff after.
Sounds good to me.
Cool. No, I like that. Craig or Ash, do you guys have any merits kind of picked out? And like I said, even if you don't have all of them.
Yeah, I need to go to like the other books and actually read all of them because in the base book, the only one I really want is the Destiny.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And even then I need to hash out with you how I want that to be done.
Sure.
Because I had the idea of just like your family is cursed.
Mm-hmm.
Just and like generationally cursed.
Cool.
I don't know how that is going to work with Destiny.
Sure.
I really liked the thing you talked about with me a couple weeks ago where it was like they left Bavaria to get away from the things in the woods. And then they were
settled in Appalachia.
There were still things in the woods in Appalachia, so now they're going west to somewhere where there's no woods.
Which just means you can't hide from
spoilers. There's things there too.
Cool.
Yeah, I like
that's
that.
Great.
Yeah, and
just like
that's
Dad
wonderful.
Is paranoid as fuck.
Right. One of the other things that I do want to throw out there real quick, especially if you're not like set on merits, is if there are mage merits that like, ooh, I really want this, buying it now and not having it, just because of the sacrifice of those merit dots, I will definitely make sure that that is something that you get quickly. So like somebody says, hey, I'm going to take the familiar merit. We'll find that thing coming. And that may be in and of itself a struggle and a problem before you actually develop a familiar status, because that's a 4-dot spell and you guys are maxed out at 2 currently. So how does that happen? But that's something that we'll discuss. What about Craig? Any specific merits that you're like, ooh, yes, this?
I got 2 dots in Dream.
Yes.
3 dots in True Friend.
Yay.
There's a story there. And 2 dots in Striking Looks. And a couple languages.
So a thing about True Friend modifies another merit. Usually. If you have, and bear in mind, if you want a true friend who is literally just an NPC I can't kill, generally speaking, what you would do is you would take Retainer or Allies or Contact and add in True Friend on top of that.
I thought that True Friend would be her live-in friend.
I mean, like I said, I don't care. I'm just making sure, True Friend is great because I can't kill them. But
that's basically all it does, right?
Right.
What's that?
It's basically all it does. I know there's some other features to it, but at the end of the day, that's pretty close to all it does by itself. Because, basically, I'm reading it here. Unless you do something egregious, you won't be betrayed by them. And I can't kill them. And anybody tries to point them at you has a -5. Now you do get the willpower regen, which is very nice. But generally speaking, it usually pairs with something else. And one thing I do want to point out is Retainer does not. We don't necessarily need to have a Retainer boss mentality necessarily.
Yeah, it says while that friend may have specific functions covered by other merits such as allies, contacts, Retainer, mentor.
Right.
True Friend represents a deeper, it doesn't have to go with those things. But
right. And like I said, this to be blunt, Craig, this is like you taking spirit familiars. If you want to do it, you are welcome to. I don't advise, but it's fine. And it is good and flavorful. And at the end of the day, it's your merits, your XP. So I'm not stressed about it.
I didn't take it with Shanna because I just kind of trusted that Drew wasn't going to kill my NPC friend.
Yep. I mean, I could always turn them against you, but yeah. So yeah, that's cool. Was there any other merits?
A couple languages, Spanish and English.
Okay, cool. Yeah, which also may be a thing we need to hash out later is what languages everybody speaks.
What language does the town speak?
We are getting there. Because
would now be an opportunity to discuss other merits outside of the 10 that you said would be something we want. Is that what you're about to bring up? Okay.
Well, that is one of the things that character creation. Also, I just noticed the time. Is everybody doing good? Everybody okay? Or
right.
Yeah.
Ash, are you okay?
Ash?
I mean, I'm kind of
flagging. Cool. And that's fine because what that just says to me is basically because we've completed character creation, we will probably stop with character creation and we'll get together in our handy dandy private chat and we will start hashing out stuff about the town, talk about some languages and some extra merits and stuff like that if they are necessary and or appropriate. Yes, Chris.
Yeah, I have one suggestion.
Go ahead, Chris.
Can we spare maybe 5 more minutes to talk about themes?
Yeah, I think we will
of the campaign.
And Ralph, what was up?
So my simple suggestion about merits is I think if you just made a setting merit, like setting rule that everyone gets 1 dot in multilingual, then it means that we all can speak probably a language common with people.
The reason I have not done something to blanket as that is A, I want to figure out the setting, and B, if somebody wants to struggle with language and stuff like that, because there's beats to be had there where it's like I'm trying to communicate and roll and you're rolling at a -10. I'm just going to take that dramatic failure. Let's get a beat.
You're right.
Yeah, my girl does not speak Spanish. So
and so
probably doesn't speak English great either.
Right. So that's one of the things that we'll talk about.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, but no, it's a very, very good point. Cool.
Makes
so
sense to me.
yes, the themes of the Chronicle, which I'm going to throw in one here right off the top of off of the bat. And if you guys have some other themes or you want to modify, I'm kind of thinking that everybody throws in a theme into the belting pot here, and that's going to be kind of our core stuff. And this is the main reason why I pulled up my notepad. But literally the very first theme, and hi, Drew likes base building, is home is where the heart is the big theme for me, specifically talking about the home is sacred. There may be drama, there may be trouble, there may be all sorts of stuff like that. But at the end of the day, this town that we are going to create, and let's be honest, at this point is going to be filled with a bunch of marginalized voices and misfits, is somehow going to be, and it's going to be that whole we rally around our own kind of place. And there will be outside forces, there will be inside turmoil, but this is the place. And we are going to be focused on this and the things that connect to it. And, obviously this will not be the only place that they go, because that would be a very, very boring chronicle, especially when we're talking about like the West and like there's all sorts of stuff that we can go find. But that's kind of my thing. And thoughts, questions, concerns about that?
Just to expand on that a little bit, I'd kind of like to see that this is a light in the darkness sort of thing. Like it's we're gathering people together as well.
And I'm 100% A-okay with that. Of course, that brings more drama, more conflict, more stuff that as mages, you can, looking at the mind mage, you can circumvent all sorts of this drama, but roll that act of hubris. So that's something I'm 100% on board for.
Cool.
We talked about it a little off screen, but it kind of goes along with Craig's thing of like, and like I said, I kind of had trouble finding the right words for this without implying a lot, but like the dangers of the wilds. Like as a counterpoint to the safety that we build.
Sure.
Yeah.
The things outside are not necessarily friendly to you.
Right.
Ties in well with my character's whole backstory too. Of just there are things out there. Let's find out what they are.
Cool. Any specific themes that you want to throw into the pile there, Ash?
I mean, for me personally, her big driving thing is like taking control of your own fate. So I have like determined and
that's cool. That resonates.
I think we're all kind of on that path for sure.
Just sort of grab a hold of it and steer it the way you want it to go.
So I'm writing that one down as take the reins of fate.
Yeah.
Okay.
And less of a theme and maybe more of a subject, especially if we're all primary in our subtle arcana, might be like the things that go bump in Twilight. As some first few mysteries and stuff like that. I know I'm really looking forward to doing a lot of spirit focused stuff.
And I'm going to be focused a lot that way as well.
Oh yeah, between the three of you having a little conversation where, the other side there, and yeah, what do you see? Well, I see this, woman in a tattered dress. Really? I see this giant wolf thing, and with Mind and Goche very rarely showing in Twilight. I don't see anything there unless I summon it. So yeah, that'll be some kind of interesting stuff. Cool.
Although we talked earlier, like in the Q&A about how there is a Mind Twilight.
Yeah, the Goche that go there.
I think you meant Fate Twilight, Prime Twilight, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yep. But that's potentially a thing. That was more for a like getting into being super mage nerds, where you live in a nice cozy place where you can go to the library and read some stuff and let me experiment with this stuff, as opposed to here where we're going to be working to survive.
Jump in feet first and
Oh yeah.
And go ahead, Craig.
Just want to know that overall, and you probably already have a plan for this, or maybe something. I'd like there for to be a reason for the town, like supernally. Yep. There's a reason for the town being here. There's a reason why we're here, and I don't know that maybe we never even find out, but there's some reason that brought us all together.
Yep, that was something I was hoping that we were going to talk on today, but we're just going to cut it short a little bit, and we'll talk about it in the chat. I may actually go ahead and spin up another Discord chat for us for literally just the town discussion. And then when we're done, I can lock it and open it so everybody can see what we talked about. So don't talk bad about Noctal in there. He might find out.
You talked bad about Noctal to his face.
Yeah.
Face, yeah.
And then Rolf, did you have any specific themes?
Yeah, I thought about this. I mean, it's kind of intrinsic to the Chronicles of Darkness, but the monster within is something that I thought might be intriguing for the setting. And I mean that outside of just an individual, but societies and cultures. So as much as the Free Council thinks about the humanity being intrinsically magical and human works create magic, I'd like to explore the fact that human collective action also has some unpleasant consequence. So the arcane, the unpleasantly arcane consequence, right?
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
No, those are 5 good big themes. Lights in the Darkness kind of fit into Home is Where the Heart Is and Dangers of the Wild. So yeah, all these are very, very good, and we'll discuss these a little bit more. For me, they're going to be a way to generate beats, and where your actions, tie to this or exacerbate a problem, and we'll talk a little bit about the nitty gritty of XP and stuff like that. I think that kind of rounds out characters pretty well. We'll discuss stuff a little bit more. This is primarily just so everybody else can have an idea of what's going on. I also will point out, we didn't talk about what our characters look like. They may have ideas, but we're going to hire Brenna to work her magic. And so my hope is that the first you all see of our characters visually, besides whatever you've imagined in your head now, is when we have Brenna's art, which probably won't have a Nimbus, because my hope is that we're going to have like 2 sets of character art. Eventually we're going to have our newbie, we don't know what we're doing characters who look very sleeper, and then we will have the shadow name Nimbus evolved versions of them, which
totally.
That could be real fun. And I keep having Chris's character that fucking art, and I'm like, yes, that character. It's very much me. I will play that character. Give me. You come storytell, Chris. So
what you're saying is don't share the Pinterest board.
Probably not yet. That's something for Brenna to have.
She already does.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. I'm surprised you guys. Yeah. Right. Any last words of wisdom from our peanut gallery here? Any last little bits? Cool. Thank you all very much for joining us. We greatly appreciate it. This Chronicle will not be starting this next Friday or anything like that. We have 1 or 2 sessions of Chris's Blades in the Dark, which if you've not been watching, I just gave you a week of catch-up time. So go catch up. It's been terrific. It's been a lot of fun.
Time to catch up.
Yep. And
then Craig's game.
And then we have Craig's game. Which
I'm going to say what that is.
Yeah, it's very, very exciting. Craig had some ideas that originally stressed me out. I was like, that's a bunch of extra work. And then he was like, no, actually, it's just this, this, and this. I was like, oh, no, that's super cool. That I'm very excited about. Craig is being a little bit extra, and I'm on board with this.
Sorry, I'm keen.
Oh, dude, it's I'm super hyped for this. And so that's going to be another like 4 or 5 weeks. And then we'll be getting to Mage. So yes, Yeah, I gave you session 0 a month before it starts.
Seven calendar weeks before you get to see us play these characters.
Yeah,
it's killing me too.
Yeah, primarily, this gives me a ton of time to prep.
It's good.
See previous Q&A about having other cabals. Well, they're probably not going to have an opposing cabal, but there's going to be NPCs, people living in this town, and they're all going to have names. Looking at you, Phantasma Society, and the 2 unnamed guys, Sin Eaters.
The business
sure are. They are there.
Who was the other one?
Yep.
I don't even remember the other one. The business
goth
lady.
Jared or something, wasn't it?
I don't know if we ever named it. Was Guy.
Oh.
Yeah. But yeah, and so
Fucking
this is letting me get some time creating my own NPCs, dealing with their NPCs, because apparently Ralph just sprung an entire cult of people.
They're mean too.
Huh?
They're mean too.
Oh, I'm sure. Which is going to be fun to figure out how these guys all work together.
Town dynamic works with
this
that.
Town. And if we're going to have like a town, and then there's this like folks hanging out in the hills. Yeah.
Effectively a maroon colony.
Yeah.
They live by themselves.
Yeah. So we'll definitely discuss that, figure out how we feel about the different dynamics there and stuff like that.
Totally open to whatever you want.
Yes, and thank you. As let others see how to do a good online session 0. Yeah, sure. Thanks. I hope this one was good.
We'll take that compliment.
Yes, I will definitely take it. This. I think session 0s are very, very important. If you've not watched anything, that's probably like one of the things I hammer on the most, because you get to see stuff, you get to talk about stuff, and I'll be honest, you get to watch the other players be excited for your character, which is a big driving force for, instead of just being like, oh, I think this is a cool character, when everybody else goes, that's a cool character, then you're like, oh man, I'm excited to play this. And if you're the ST, getting everybody together to talk about your town, it's a lot of fun, especially when you force them to do it. In this case,
I demand pictures of base building.
Yeah. So, I threatened them. I told them they've got to start figuring out the features that the town has. What kind? Do they have a mine? Do they have a forest? Apparently, no forest. We can determine that. This entire family refuses to settle anywhere near woods, so we're going to be out on the plains somewhere.
It's like fucking, what's his name?
That's
from Order of the
hilarious.
Stick.
Yes.
The dwarf from Order of the Stick.
That's right.
Damn trees.
Goddamn
Yes.
trees.
So, okay, with our hate for trees mentioned, thank you all for joining us. If you want to join us on Discord, which I highly suggest, come by yeetinto.space. That's www.yeetinto.space. Apparently that works much better. And if you want to support us monetarily, that is staylucky.club or patreon.com/occultists. That's where you use the short one. There is merch. There is other stuff. There's lots of different ways you can support us. It all basically funnels back into the show. Well, okay, some of it does. Other goes to pay the guys here, and so they get paid for playing games, which, I mean, don't we all want that? Yeah. Oh, I'd like that. Yes, there was a forest here, but now it's a town.
I mean, depending on where we decide to put it, it could also be like I've lost the word. The mud.
Adobe
Stuff. Yep.
That's a good suggestion.
Which would be very kind of cool. So that will definitely be stuff that we talk about in Discord, and you guys can check out later. For now, we love you all, and we'll see you later.
Shoot from the hip.